On Thursday, May 14th, 2015, 28-year-old Sophia Laurent went missing. Sophia's last message to her mother early that morning stated only that she would not be returning home. Then there was silence. Investigators tracked clues left behind from her last night out. Friends and witnesses who helped piece together a timeline and point them towards a suspect. Days later, Sophia's car was discovered abandoned in a store parking lot an hour from her home. And yet, more devastating discoveries were still to be made. Hi there, I'm Alex and welcome to Mystery Haven. Today's case unravels rapidly. A mysterious missing persons turned into a manhunt which led to an arrest. And it all came together inside of 1 week. This is the story of how even careful killers get caught. Let's take a look. Before we jump into our case, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Maze Quest. Maze Quest is a hidden object mystery game that is set in the glamorous 1930s. Players navigate this immersive world as May Ellis, a clever amateur detective investigating her sister's murder while uncovering shocking family secrets. The gameplay revolves around hidden object scenes that challenge your observation skills to reveal clues and drive the story forward. When revisiting these scenes, additional items are added, which keeps the gameplay fresh and challenging. As you progress through the story, you can decorate your island with creative items. The island expands into multiple unique areas, which allows you to build your world the way you choose. There are special events and seasonal content with unique rewards. For example, as I was playing, I unlocked the Garden Terrace set, which gave me access to this awesome tea cart. What kept me coming back was trying to perfect each scene and collect the items as quickly as possible. The game grew more challenging and rewarding as more and more items were added. They even have a leaderboard so you can compete with your friends for the best score. Look for MH Alex to try and beat my personal bests. Download Maze Quest for free by clicking on the link in the description and pinned comment or scanning the QR code. Maze Quest is available on Apple and Android smartphones and tablets, as well as PC. Maria Petrova arrived at the Naples police station at just after 9 a.m. on May 14, 2015. She was there to report her daughter, 28-year-old Sophia Laurent, missing. The last communication she had with Sophia was a text message sent just past 2:30 a.m. the previous day, stating that she would not be returning home that night. That message was sent in her native Ukrainian, the language Sophia used to communicate with her mother. Every message Maria sent following that, asking where she was and when she would be home, went unanswered. Eventually, Maria made contact with Sophia's boyfriend, 33-year-old Ryan Carter. Ryan told Maria that Sophia was sleeping at his house. He would have her call later, but no call was ever made. Even more troubling, following this exchange with Maria, Ryan Carter also dropped out of contact. Beginning that Friday, May 15th, no one could reach the young couple, and neither Sophia, a dedicated nurse, or Ryan, a successful financial advisor, had shown up for work on Thursday. 33-year-old Ryan Carter had earned a master's in finance degree from the University of Tampa. After launching his career at the investment firm Goldman Sachs based in Miami, he had accepted a role at Wells Fargo Advisors in Naples. Ryan oversaw millions of client funds, and by most accounts, he was respected and well-liked by colleagues and clients alike. A regular on the local bar scene, it was at one of these establishments that Ryan had met Sophia roughly 8 months earlier. By the winter of 2015, they were living together in Ryan's residence at 2845 Gulfview Lane. According to friends, Sophia was never as smitten with Ryan as he was with her. The 28-year-old has always been popular and made friends easily. It had taken some effort from Ryan to win her over. Born in Ukraine, Sophia had moved to Florida with her mother at the age of 15 when Maria married stepfather John Petrova. Arriving as a young teen without a word of English, she had learned rapidly and fit in just as quickly. Sophia graduated college with a nursing degree with a specialization in cardiology. She worked with heart patients at a local medical center, a role in which she was deeply committed. That Thursday, however, she did not show up for work, and no one at the center had heard from her. A search warrant was drawn up for Ryan Carter's house in Naples. It was the last known location for both Ryan and Sophia. When they entered, they found no one at home. It also seems that not much appeared out of place. Neither Sophia's silver Honda nor Ryan's blue BMW was at the residence, though a neighbor told police they recalled seeing Sophia's vehicle parked out front on Thursday night. In the garage on the floor near the base of the door, investigators identified droplets of a blood-like substance. The need to locate the couple intensified. Notifications to law enforcement agencies across the state were made in an effort to find Ryan and Sophia's vehicles and hopefully lead to their location. Meanwhile, detectives began to retrace their movements prior to those early morning texts on the 14th. On the evening of Monday, May 11th, 3 days before the disappearance, Sophia and Ryan went to the Ocean Breeze Bistro for dinner. Daniel Torres had been their server. Daniel recognized the couple as soon as they came in. He and a co-worker had been out for drinks just a few days before at a bar called The Harbor, where they had encountered Ryan and Sophia. I went up to the table to introduce myself, and they seemed a little on edge. Did you know him at that time? No, we had seen him actually one of the employees here, Alex, and I had encountered him a Thursday night. You say him. Who are you talking about? Ryan. Okay, you talking about Ryan Carter? Yes, sir. Okay. We were at the harbor having a couple beverages after work, and, Alex made contact with the girlfriend at the time and just a casual conversation, and he came up with attitude and stuff, and we were already a few drinks into the night, and we're like, this is garbage. We're on a long day. Let's just leave it at that and go home. So we did. We left it at that and went home. So when they came in Monday night, Alex was working with me, and he goes, "That guy look familiar to you?" I'm like, "Yeah, he does." He goes, "That's the guy from the harbor that tried to get into it with me." Daniel told the detective that a short exchange Alex had with Sophia at the harbor caused a jealous reaction from Ryan, who unnecessarily confronted them in a threatening manner. The servers de-escalated the exchange and left, only to see the couple show up at the Ocean Breeze Bistro days later. Their demeanor was tense. Daniel noted how they seemed to maintain a heated exchange throughout their dinner, though keeping their voices low enough to conceal their words. You could visibly see that something was going on with her. The demeanor didn't change at all, and I looked through service window at the table every so often just to check on them, and you could see that there was agitation between the two of them. I was talking to Alex about it too. I'm like, "Dude, that is not a happy table." I'm like, "There's a lot of agitation going on." And he noticed it too. "Would you say that he's aggressive with her?" "Oh, the way he was talking to her, absolutely." His body motion was absolutely aggressive. Ryan and Sophia left Ocean Breeze Bistro at around 9:30 that evening. An hour later, Ryan was back at the harbor. He was alone. A friend who saw him there later told detectives that Ryan was visibly upset and had been crying. I saw Ryan Carter on Monday and he was sitting by himself. He was texting on his phone and then he left shortly thereafter. But I just thought it was really bizarre behavior for him to be so upset in public. I got the impression that he had been given really bad news. By all accounts, Sophia and Ryan had ended their relationship over dinner at Ocean Breeze Bistro on Monday night. Ryan complained to coworkers the following day that Sophia had left without removing all of her clothing from his apartment. He also told them that he had plans to visit friends in Tampa, which served as an explanation for his absence, but he did not leave right away. Despite their apparent breakup, he and Sophia were spotted out together once more the very next night. A bartender at Sunset Lounge reported that after having a drink, Ryan paid their tab by credit card and the two left together at just after 2 a.m. It was the last sighting of Sophia before she lost contact with everyone, and she was getting into her car with her now ex-boyfriend. This was not the first time that the two had parted ways. Sophia's best friend and sometimes roommate Jessica told detectives that their first split had taken place back in March. During a heated argument at their home, Ryan's yelling and threats caused a neighbor in the building to place a call to 911. Concerned for Sophia's safety, she called me hysterically crying. She asked me where I was, and I said I was working. "I'm still, at the bar closing up." She's like, "Okay, well, I'm coming up there." And she came up hysterical, talking about how they were in a fight, and at one point during the fight, he ended up choking her. Jessica said she could clearly see the signs of the attack on her friend's neck. They had documented the incident with photos. The next day, accompanied by Jessica's father, they went to Ryan's apartment and collected her things. She moved out, and that was meant to be the end of it. They went through a period of time of not really talking or speaking, and then I guess over time they ended up back together and everything seemed fine. That night was caught everybody off guard. No one saw that one. Though Ryan's temper on that night back in March had come as a surprise to many of Sophia's friends. It seems it was not out of character. Ryan was described as a controlling and jealous partner and a man with a bad temper. Sophia's friend Mark told detectives that he tried to warn her off of Ryan, sensing that he was not a good person. On one occasion, they ran into each other at a bar and greeted each other with a hug. Spotting the exchange, Ryan wasted no time confronting Mark in what he described as a jealous rage. It was behavior reminiscent of what Daniel and Alex had experienced only days before the disappearance. And he pursued again with aggression, more aggression to try to fight you. Fight me? What exactly say to you, Mark? Didn't really say nothing. Just stared at me and started walking towards me like with anger. Did he have his fists? Yes, fists were clenched. He was ready to fight. Out of rage and jealousy, not much. I believe, it was a while back. But I believe he said, "Get the bosh off her." And it was a simple hug as a friend. Okay. Would you say he's got some jealousy issues? Yes. Further digging into Ryan Carter's past revealed a criminal history, a conviction in Miami for aggravated stalking of an ex-girlfriend, a felony. On Saturday, May 16th, only days after Sophia's last confirmed communication, Ryan Carter's blue BMW was spotted in the parking lot of a Holiday Inn on Palm Coast Parkway in Port Orange. Despite his apparent plans to visit friends in Tampa, surveillance footage captured him checking into a room only 35 minutes away from his home in Naples. He paid cash and gave explicit instructions to hotel staff. Do not put through any phone calls and do not tell anyone that he was there. Detectives were nonetheless handed a key card to his room and they paid him a visit. You have a pretty good reason why we're here, I'm sure. Basically, the reason why we're here. We're still trying to find out. Okay. That's the biggest reason why we've been doing the last couple days. That's what we're going to continue to do. Okay. I'd like to talk to you about her whereabouts. Okay. But I have to read you Miranda warning first. Okay, you understand that so far? I know you got a little your finance degree, so you're really intelligent. Remember again why we're here, and that's to find her. I'll tell you unequivocally, I don't know where she is. Before I waive my right, I'll tell you I don't know where she is. Just that help. Following this brief statement, Ryan asserted his right to counsel and the conversation ended. Less than 12 hours after Ryan's BMW was spotted in Port Orange, Sophia's silver Honda was located in a Walmart parking lot in Daytona Beach, a nearly hour drive from her home in Naples. Officers opened the trunk of the car to find Sophia Laurent, dressed in only her underwear. She had likely been deceased for days. An autopsy would later determine that Sophia had suffered a blunt force trauma to her head. She had also been strangled. It was a devastating outcome to the missing person search that family and friends had desperately hoped would result in locating Sophia alive. Anybody that got a chance to meet Sophia knows that she just brought a smile to their face and was a bright spot in their life. You get to know who people are, and, she's one of those people that you won't find anybody that has anything bad to say about her. You could see from the outreach from the community that just speaks volumes of who she was. It's a devastating loss. Detectives spoke with a Walmart employee who had arrived for her shift just before 6 a.m. on Friday morning. The employee recalled watching as the silver Honda drove in and parked. She did not, however, get a clear view of the driver. So I said, "Well, I seen when the cars pulled up. I was sitting in my car." "Okay. And the store manager," she said, "what you seen the cars pull up? Which day?" And I was like, "So either Friday or Thursday." It was like 5:45 in the morning because I can't either, like 5:45, and I sit in my car. "Did you see who was driving the silver vehicle?" "No." The employee thought that perhaps a second vehicle, which entered the lot only moments later, could have been traveling with the silver Honda. If so, it would suggest the killer had an accomplice. Though the witness did not see an interaction between the drivers, so investigators began to contact local taxi services. They reasoned that the driver who abandoned Sophia's car needed to leave the parking lot somehow. This logical deduction proved accurate. A Blue Star taxi reported collecting a fare a quarter mile from the Walmart from the local Burger King restaurant at roughly 9:30 a.m. on Friday morning. The destination was Naples. The driver told detectives that he collected a thin-built white man in a gray hoodie from the bus stop. He remembered it clearly because it was the only fare he had that day, and it was unusual to collect someone from the side of the road for a long journey. They made small talk on the way. "How did you get down here?" And he said, "Well, he came down with a friend of his, and he said her car broke down." "Okay. And, he had no way to get back, so she couldn't get her car fixed." And they said, "Oh, I don't know. She was pretty pissed anyway, so I doubt she would have gave me a ride back." The taxi driver dropped off the man in the hoodie at an address in Naples directly across the street from the apartment at 2845 Gulf View Lane. When asked to identify the man in a police lineup, the driver identified Ryan Carter. On Tuesday, May 19th, 1 week from the day Sophia broke up with him, Ryan Carter was formally charged with first-degree murder. He was held in custody without bond. This is a tragic case of dating and domestic violence by a weak, insecure, cowardly individual who felt the need to control his relationship with Sophia Laurent by way of verbal and physical abuse. Quite frankly, Ryan David Carter disgusted me, and is very poor excuse for a man. Upon his arrest, officers located a second burner phone amongst his things, the same phone that had been used to call the taxicab company for a ride from the Daytona Beach Burger King. Had he used this phone exclusively, instead of occasionally powering on his regular device, detectives may have been unable to track him. As it was, they could trace the purchase of the burner phone to a target in Ormond Beach. At approximately 7:52 a.m. on Friday the 14th, a silver four-door Honda was captured arriving at the store. Cameras in the parking lot and inside showed only Ryan Carter emerging from the vehicle and entering the store. He purchased the flip phone and was captured leaving. Though he drove Sophia's car, she was not seen with him. Of course, if the timeline established by detectives was correct, Sophia was already in the trunk when Ryan drove her car to the target that morning. Ryan Carter pleaded not guilty to the murder and awaited his trial from county jail. He refused to speak with detectives. "I want to point out to you, the first time we talked to you, we were there to talk to you about a missing person. Okay? Now we're here to talk to you about the murder. Okay. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and read you Miranda rights. You understand?" "Yes. Okay. Using my right to silence and unequivocally requested my right to counsel. So, you don't want to talk to us? I request my right to counsel." "Okay." That's all you had to say to us. During this period, investigators were learning more about the financial advisor's sordid past. Ex-girlfriends reported controlling behavior and a pattern of emotional and physical abuse. It also emerged that Ryan had a history of telling grandiose, overt lies. Though he drove a 12-year-old BMW, he claimed this was only to keep his other car, a Lamborghini, from becoming damaged. He also spoke about the penthouse he claimed to own in Miami. While in graduate school, he told professors and some fellow students that he was battling leukemia, which made it difficult for him to regularly attend classes and meet project deadlines. And apparently, he was also a self-made man. He claimed to have been adopted and raised in poverty. These lies helped him get admitted to academic programs and boost his reputation with colleagues. But his tales were a stark contrast to the wealthy upbringing and private school education that his biological parents had actually provided him. After his arrest, his many connections abandoned him. His lies had been revealed. While awaiting trial, Ryan was supported by a single coworker who visited him only a few times. "Can I ask you an honest question?" "Sure. Other than you and her?" "Uh-huh." "Do you think I really have any friends left?" Don't consider that they're not your friends. They're just not in a good place, you know, and I hope they still are your friends, you know." "Okay. Have you seen your family at all, Ryan?" "No, you're the only person that, visited me, and literally I got one letter from Guy and one letter from you, and that's it." "Do you want me to contact your family?" "No, my attorney talked to him. The police detective has said to me that they've tried to talk with you and that you won't talk with them." "And I guess I'm I don't care for my... It's not what I want to know why you won't talk to them. I want the best for you, Ryan. And I'm just wondering why you think it's beneficial to you not to talk to them. Yeah, that's something I can't talk about. Ryan, they don't tell us details and stuff. And this is upset for you, I'm sure. But they tell us that they have lots of evidence that if you don't weigh in at all, that your voice is not going to be heard, Ryan, and the next thing you know, we'll be in the middle of some big sensational trial. I just don't want to see you I just don't want to see you publicized or damaged further than you need to be. Yeah. I don't know that I have much choice in that matter, though. Well, I think that in the next few days, I think they're going to decide whether they go with the death penalty or not. I don't know what the facts are, but you can't change the facts, Ryan. And if the facts aren't good, you need to find a place to... You don't want to die, do you? No, that's a pretty scary thing. Ryan Carter stood trial for Sophia Loren's murder in September 2020. The state declared their intention to seek the death penalty should the jury return a guilty verdict. The defense argued that the evidence for murder was circumstantial. They suggested that Sophia could have sustained her fatal injuries accidentally. If that was the case, Ryan was only guilty of panicking by placing her in the trunk of her car, abandoning it in a parking lot, and hiding at a Holiday Inn. A medical expert for the defense testified that the blunt force injury to her head alone could have killed her, or Sophia could have still been alive when she was placed in the trunk. Under intense cross-examination, however, even this expert conceded that her death was best categorized as a homicide. Ryan Carter elected not to testify at his trial. Whatever his version of events, it would not be heard. It took the jury only 50 minutes to convict him of first-degree murder. The same jurors would return the next month for the sentencing phase of the trial, when they would decide if he should be put to death. Ryan David Carter can never be let back out into the public. He's a murderer. He stole the life of my daughter and, I don't want him to even stay the rest of his life in jail. I want murder one sentence. Sky Maria Petrova spoke extensively during the penalty phase. Sophia had been her only child. The two had been extremely close. She spoke of the plans that her daughter had made for her own life and how thoughts of that lost future would haunt her forever. Despite these heartbreaking pleas when the jury returned, there was one holdout. The vote was 11-1 in favor of imposing a sentence of death. We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant Ryan Carter should be sentenced to death. No. A recent change in Florida law meant that for the sentence to be imposed, the decision needed to be unanimous. You came to my home, you sit at my table, and you took my daughter away from me. There is no punishment nor harsh enough for what you took from me. If hate could kill, you would be dead now for what you took from me. In October 2020, Ryan David Carter was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. It's all gone for me. I'm never going to have grandchildren. I'm never going to see my daughter and get him old. Wise, get married, be happy. I know she's gone, but it's so hard to believe it now, And that was the case of Sophia Loren. Thanks for watching, and many thanks again to Maze Quest for sponsoring this video. You can download Maze Quest for free by clicking on the link in the description or in our pinned comment. I'm Alex, this is Mystery Haven, and I'll see you in the next one. But these stories got to be selective. Doing all the research, keeping it objective, always been effective. They say he got a neck. Pick a litter. You see how Newton got his back? Yeah, the content that you need. This could be a new com.